What's up everyone, my name is Morgan Lee and welcome back to my channel. Today we are finally doing another installment of my Writing While series, and today we are writing while neurodivergent. Today's video is for my neurodivergent authors. It'll be a little bit about my experience as a neurodivergent writer, as well as a few tips and also kind of a call for help in a way for you to give me tips on how to better manage myself as a writer. Friday's video will be full of tips for authors who want to include more neurodivergent characters in their work. Disclaimer: the term neurodivergent covers a lot of different disorders. So I will not be speaking from the umbrella of every type of neurodivergence. I'll only be speaking of my own personal experience with autism and ADHD. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into the video. First, I am going to give you just a brief definition of what the term neurodivergent means if you're watching this and you happen not to know. Here is a brief definition that I got from the website divergentminds.org. I'll leave all of the resources that I pulled things from in the description box below. I encourage you to check it out, especially if you're not neurodivergent. Divergentminds.org defines neurodivergent as having a brain that functions in ways that diverge significantly from the dominant societal standards of normal. In other words, neurotypical. Some conditions that fall under the umbrella term of neurodivergent include autism, ADHD, OCD, Tourette syndrome, and a list of others that I will include here on the screen. This is important to note because the term neurodivergent is being thrown around a lot, and some people think it just means autism, some people think it just means ADHD or a combination of both, and it can cover a lot of other different things. Language is important, so we need to be specific. I'm titling this video neurodivergent because I have multiple. Again, I will only be speaking from my own personal experience. Every brain with neurodivergence or neurotypicalness is unique and different. Every person with autism, every person with ADHD is not a monolith. We are not the same. We struggle in different ways, we succeed in different ways. Therefore, this video will only be talking about me, my personal experience with autism and ADHD, challenges that I have faced, as well as some solutions that I have tried. Here, I want to include a little public service announcement in the terms of autism. It's not really necessary to the point of this video, but I still feel like it's important for me to say, just so people get a better understanding of what autism is and what it's not. Because there are tons of misinformation out there. There are a lot of groups who are trying to speak over the voices of autistic people, and there are a lot of parents, caregivers, and teachers who are also doing the same. First thing, autism is a disability, but it is also an identity. I cannot remove the autism from my brain. I cannot turn it off. I cannot be cured. It is a part of who I am. It is how I was birthed and developed as a human being. You cannot separate me from autism. In my opinion, what makes autism disabling is the society that we live in, and not having appropriate accommodations for people who are not the normal. Functioning labels are harmful. There is no high functioning, there is no low functioning. There are only differences in support needs. Asperger's is an outdated term. We do not use the word Asperger's anymore. It is not a diagnosis in the DSM, and it is steeped in a lot of eugenics, and just don't use the term anymore. The autism spectrum is not a straight line from mild to severe. The autism spectrum is a circle, and every autistic person exists on that circle in some variation for various needs. And then the final one, Autism Speaks, is a hate group that focuses on painting parents, educators, caregivers as heroes and vilifying autistic people as needing to be changed, needing to be cured, needing to be modified in order to fit into society and to fit into the standard. They want a cure for autism while no cure exists because autism is not a disease. Autism is a neurotype, and their goal is to help parents of autistic people feel like they are worthy of a badge of honor for having an autistic child. So when April comes around and it's Autism Acceptance Month, don't feed any more into Autism Speaks. They don't need any more of your money to harm autistic people with. If you want to support autistic people, you want to support autism, then donate, help, buy from actually autistic people. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's get on to the challenges and the tips. Oh, my eyes hurt. Okay. Challenge number 1, connecting to the writing community. Social and interpersonal, personal relationship difficulties. As an HD autistic, which is a autistic person who has ADHD, HD autistic, I don't know how to make friends. I don't know how to keep them. I don't know how to make them. And I'm gonna go through the several reasons why it is a struggle for me. So masking is a term for what autistic people tend to do when we are in social situations where we don't feel 100% safe and secure at being 100% authentically ourselves. So we modify our behavior, we modify our speech, we modify our facial expressions, we modify everything about us so that we do not stand out as other. We look people in the eyes, we change the inflection in our voice so we don't sound monotone, and we raise our eyebrows, and all of these things are a conscious effort to not look like other, to keep our bodies still, to not stim, to not move, to not rock, to not spin. And as you can imagine, it's awfully exhausting. So in interpersonal relationships, I tend to do the exact same thing. So if I'm in a group of people, I'm going to behave exactly as that group of people is behaving. I'm going to copy their mannerisms. I'm going to copy their facial expressions. I'm going to laugh when they laugh. I'm going to do everything I can to match what they are doing, what they are giving me, so that I can blend in and be accepted and have a friend. And all of that masking masking for 31 years of my life and not knowing I was autistic, since I just found out that I was autistic. I was just diagnosed with autism. Masking like your entire existence, you get to a point where like, who even am I? Because you spent so much time choosing parts of people and putting them in you and learning how to maneuver so that you don't look suspicious, that you begin to not know yourself. So I think that has definitely attributed to how I don't know how to like relate to people on a normal level. The second reason that relationships are hard for me is number 2, past trauma. Growing up undiagnosed autistic, you kind of know innately that something is off about you, that something's wrong, something doesn't connect, something's not landing with you and everybody else around you. So you know something's off and you're not sure what. All of the years of trying to make myself feel like I fit has led to a lot of situations where either I was taken advantage of by people, because typically autistic people are more prone to manipulation, being taken advantage of by people, being put in situations that were either dangerous or not ideal because someone was my friend and this was what friends do, I guess. Past trauma of not being able to fully trust people because they might be lying to you, they might be trying to manipulate you. As you get older, you finally get to the point where you're just like distrusting of everybody. And it's like, well, the way that they said that, or what did they really mean, or are they actually your friend, is kind of like the thing that's getting in the way now of maintaining and finding like true friendships, because I'm suspicious of everybody. Like as soon as I hear something that says that, oh, you were lying to me, or you said this about me or whatever, then I'm gonna cut you off. A lot of that is the past trauma of having not so good friendships and not so good relationships. And number 3, we touched on it in number 2, but being easily manipulated. So this is not a diagnosis. So I don't know if I say I have alexithymia, which is the inability to name emotions. But anyway, aside from that, I struggle with emotions, understanding what emotions I'm feeling in myself, and then understanding what emotions other people are giving me. So that leads to a lot of miscommunication between like friend groups and everything, where either I say something in a way that they take in an emotional way, and I'm not really understanding like where that's coming from or what their emotion is. Typically, autistic people tend to take things literally, so I take what you say at face value. So if you tell me something, I'm gonna believe you. And this could be weaponizing my enemies right now by saying she's gullible. Okay, number 4 is hyperfixations and special interests. Autistic people usually have specific interests, and sometimes they change as we age, and sometimes they stay for lifelong. So for me, writing is one of my special interests. But when I am excited about something or I'm passionate about something, that is the thing that I want to talk about. And that is the thing I'll be able to talk about for hours. And small talk is horrible. I honestly, not in the way that I don't care about how your day is going, but if you're just gonna say, good, fine, like, why are we even doing that? Hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, it rained today. Yeah, did you see the snow? Crazy. Why do we need to do that? We don't need to do that. If we're going to talk, let's talk about something with substance. So that often, at least for me, I feel like it makes me look like I'm selfish and like I only want to talk about myself or what I'm interested in. But I'd love for you to just ramble on about your interests too. We can ramble on together. But often, like when that happens, people get off-put because they think I'm selfish or I'm only talking about myself. Or if they tell me a story and I say something like, yeah, one time that happened to me in this way, that could often be seen as like making it about me. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to relate to you. Oftentimes, I don't know what you want me to say in this moment. So if I have something that I can pull that I relate to, I'm going to say it. And then to go back to the masking thing, another reason I feel like that has impacted my friendships is because you think I'm one way because I'm masking in front of you. So when I get comfortable and I start to unmask in front of you, you end up not liking me because, oh, I thought you were this type of person before. So then that just ends up being really confusing. And then the last one I want to talk about on this point is rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is kind of suspected, I guess, to be linked to ADHD. It is not in the DSM as like a criteria for diagnosis, but it's an experience that a lot of ADHD people can relate to, so I think it's connected. But rejection sensitive dysphoria is described or defined: extreme emotional sensitivity and pain triggered by the perception that a person has been rejected or criticized by important people in their life. It may also be triggered by a sense of falling short, failing to meet their own high standards or others' expectations. Got that from attitudemag.com. RSD is something that I struggle with so hard. Wanting people to like me, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be included, but even like the perceived notion of this person is rejecting me, like that says in the definition, it's painful. And not just like, oh, it hurts my heart, but like almost physically painful. And it sucks. It really sucks. So those are the reasons that my interpersonal relationships are strained. So we talked about why I struggle with friendships. So now let's talk about some solutions and tips that I have been using, sort of. Feel free, again, to give me any suggestions in the comments because this is a work in progress. I am not coming from a place of I have arrived at mastering my mind. These are just some things that I have tried. First solution that I have is we are on the internet, and I don't know what it is about the internet, but I feel like it gives you a sense of freedom in that you can do and be anyone you want, even yourself. So like in life, with the people who know me, in person, I can't fully be myself. I'm in my room alone. There's no eyes on me. Even though you're gonna be watching this video, there are no eyes on me right now. I can fully just be 100% authentically who I am, and you'll find people who love you for being yourself. Tip number 2, especially with writers, you already have a topic of special interest. You're on the AuthorTube community, you're in the writing community. We all love writing. I'm pretty sure none of us would get tired of you talking about writing, talking about stories. So you don't have to worry about boring people with your special interests because you already have one in common. That opens up the door to you talking to somebody. You find other things you can dump about. It opens up the door to so much more and actually building a relationship with people because we already have something in common. We already love writing. And then we can just find other things we have in common, embrace our differences, and then actually have relationship with other people, and then actually be actual friends, whatever that means, because I don't know. Yeah. And then my 4th bonus tip for building those interpersonal relationship skills is to find an extrovert or a social butterfly that you can trust, that will pull you to things, that will include you in writing events or discussions or whatever, that will bring you out of the pit of your loneliness and your isolation because you don't know how to connect with people, because I don't know how to connect with people. That will pull you out of that and more to, going. Because I think it boosts your own confidence in yourself. Not that you need that person forever. I mean, be friends with them, hold on to them, love them, cherish them. But you don't need them to hold your hand forever, but it helps with your confidence and with you learning how to behave socially. And I laugh because that's been my experience throughout my whole entire life. An extrovert adopted me. I guess maybe a neurotypical extrovert, I don't know. An extrovert adopted me and pulled me along to things. My best friend from kindergarten to 6th grade pulled me along to things. She spoke up for me. She literally spoke for me because I did not speak when I was in elementary school. That's why in middle school and high school I didn't have anybody and I was kind of a lost little puppy. But anyway, find a friend who is that social butterfly, who loves you, likes you, whatever, and is going to help build you up, build up your confidence, push you to try things. Because honestly, the best part of this last year was getting engaged into the writing community and talking to people from somebody who's been isolated more often than not. Did not mention this, but reciprocity is also very challenging for me. The structure and formula of relationships, the give and take. Oftentimes it's not clear how I'm supposed to behave in a relationship to consider myself a good friend and what is expected of me. Not even just over this whole pandemic, but for years. Yeah, and I think just along those lines is just accepting who you are as a neurodivergent person, whatever it is, and knowing that you have limitations, you have different needs, and then also finding those people who are going to support your needs and understand you. And even when you don't fully know what support you need, because I'm in a situation right now where I'm still trying to figure out what autism means for me and how it affects me and how I struggle and how I can ask what accommodations I need and all those types of things. It's just so important to find those people because it can be horribly isolating and horribly lonely. And that is not good for our mental health because we are prone to anxiety and depression. So that is my take on that point. And I just hope that it was helpful in some way. If anyone has any other tips on friendships and neurodivergency, specifically autism and ADHD, leave those down in the comments below. The next thing we're going to talk about is having a writing routine. Now, I don't know about you, but that is almost impossible for me to have a writing routine and have everything efficient and planned and consistency, to the point that it's kind of soul crushing. What are the ways that ADHD, autism, neurodivergency affects my ability to have a productive writing schedule, routine, and all of that jazz? There's often so many steps, a lot of steps to writing, publishing a book, even writing and uploading YouTube videos. There's a lot of steps that go into it. Often, I tend to get overloaded by the amount of things that I have to do, mountain of tasks that I have to complete, and that often leads to what is known as ADHD paralysis. You have every motivation, you have every desire, maybe not motivation, you have every desire in your heart that you're gonna get this thing done, you wanna do this thing, you need to do this thing. And the most important thing being you want to do this thing. I want to finish my book, but I'm staring at it and saying the mind is just blank and nothing's happening. And I want to highlight that it's so different from being lazy or even procrastinating, because I want to do the thing. Procrastination is more like, oh, I don't want to write that paper, I'm not going to write that paper. ADHD paralysis is like, I really want to get into this story. I really want to read this book. I really want to do the thing, but I can't. My body just physically cannot. And I don't know how to describe it for anyone who doesn't experience this, but it is just awful. And then sometimes, like when that happens, you gotta what I do, again, not trying to speak for everybody, but what I do is I often find myself doing something that doesn't require a lot from me mentally, like scrolling on TikTok or watching an old show, which is kind of like an autistic stem, because I don't technically need to do anything. Like my body can handle that much. That hinders a lot of the progress with writing and with finishing tasks. And because ADHD is impulsive, you're often, my mind at least, is often thinking about the next project, the next idea, the next thing that is coming, or something better that I don't want to deal with this, so that this idea seems better at this moment. That can often lead me to follow the dopamine, so follow the thing that's going to stimulate me more than the thing that seems so heavy, that seems like too much in the moment. Does that make sense? I hope so. And then the next thing I have on this under like routine and like having a writing routine is the fight between my autism and my ADHD, where I want and need the structure and routine of having the same thing all of the time, and then the impulsivity of ADHD and wanting the shiny new thing all of the time. And the thing is, like, both of these things will benefit from having a structured routine. Your ADHD will be better if you have a structured routine, but I don't like that. And I don't want to be pigeonholed into having a structured writing routine or doing things a certain way all of the freaking time. But then my autism's over here like, no, stop changing stuff. That's how we don't get anything done. You keep changing everything and then we don't know what to do. So they're both arguing most of the time. So what solutions have I tried that can help me with that and maybe help you? Solution number one is to throw out perfect. Doesn't exist. And this is a thing that I talked about, I think, in my interview with my co-host on the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast, this is productive procrastination. So I did not coin this term. I don't know who did. I didn't look it up. I will include it below if I remember. But productive procrastination has definitely helped me with getting motivated again. Productive procrastination is, in my terms, is doing something that is adjacent to the thing that you're avoiding doing. So I need to finish this book, right? This revision. That's the main thing I need to get done. But if I was not feeling that at the moment, to do that, I could instead research editors. I could email my cover designer. I could write the back of the book blurb, which I still need to do. I could write the tagline for my book. I could create promotional materials for my book. I could do something that is adjacent to the story, that is necessary to be done at some point, but is not the key thing that I'm supposed to be working on right now, because it's adjacent to the thing that I need to be working on right now. So that kind of fulfills my desire to work on the thing, but it's not the overwhelming task. And then oftentimes I can get back to the overwhelming task, because the thing that I did that was adjacent inspired me to go ahead and do the thing that I was putting off. That is my advice, to do something around the point, and then it'll help you get back to the point. My next tip is time blocking. I mean, I tried time batching, but I don't say it didn't work. I need to test some more. But time blocking is to block out sections of your calendar. Think back to school when you had hour-and-a-half classes. I don't know if you all did block scheduling, but you had like hours 1 through 5, and then Tuesdays you had 2, 4, 7. 2, 4, 6. And then different times like science, math, reading. Schedule your days in blocks, like YouTube, writing stuff, book related stuff, whatever, family, household, whatever. And then you do tasks that are adjacent to that overall topic. So it's not like I have to sit and write from 1 to 2, and then I have to edit videos from 2 to 4. It's not like that, because my brain don't like it. I need some type of structure. If it's too structured, I'm going to bulk and nothing is going to get done. This is what I have found that is kind of working for me. And the last category that I have is like finishing a project / taking care of yourself, being productive. This is like a little hodgepodge of things. So in this section, I want to talk about executive functioning and executive dysfunction, which means that your executive functioning is not functioning well. I also want to talk about interoception, time blindness, emotional regulation, and hyperfocus. So this video is already very long, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just to give a brief definition and everything, executive function is all of the things that I feel like make you a whole productive person. I'll include the list of everything on the screen over here. But basically, executive function are the skills and self-regulation systems that help us plan, focus our attention, remember things, and work on or juggle multiple tasks. This is impaired in both ADHD and autism. So when you have both, it's like a real fun time. So this deals a lot with working memory, mental flexibility, and self-control. So I'm just going to touch on like a few things that executive function, like the ways that I feel dysfunctional in my executive functioning skills, is that I have almost no working memory at all. So if somebody tells me something, I'm likely going to forget unless they write it down for me, remind me several times. You could tell me something 2 minutes ago and it's gone. It's gone. Unless there was something to tie that memory with something else. I haven't been talking a lot about OCD in this, but that kind of works into like how I manage my OCD a little bit, is I have to tie in my obsessions or obsessions, I guess, with a physical thing. So like if I'm wondering if I turned off the stove before I left, I have to touch every knob. And then I attribute that, oh, did I turn off the stove? And I was like, yeah, I touched every single knob 5 times. And that helps connect the memory. But anyway, executive function, that shows up in the struggle to complete and sometimes initiate tasks, as well as just managing your time and fixating on things and trouble following a sequence of steps. All of that can make it really hard to complete any sort of writing project, any sort of project in general, any YouTube video, anything that we're trying to do. It can make it extremely difficult to get any of those types of things done. And executive functioning also plays into hyperfocus and time blindness. So hyperfocus is when you are basically all in on one particular project or thing, and like nothing else matters. You forget to eat, you forget to go to the bathroom. You will literally like sit there for hours engrossed in this one task. I think in like the self-help type movement, they call it a flow state, but that sounds entirely positive, when I feel like hyperfocus can either be a positive or a negative. So you can be all in on your writing. Well, it's still not good because you probably will not eat or pee or drink water and that's kind of necessary. But yeah, that could be a video game, that could be TikTok, that could be a project you actually need to get done. It can be anything. You could hyper focus on analyzing all the raw data you got from your 23andMe DNA test, because that's what I did. It can be anything. Some ADHD advocates or whatever, talk about like how you can hijack your hyper focus or like use it as a superpower and stuff like that, which I mean you can, but I think it gets tricky. Time blindness is kind of similar to hyperfocus. Well, not really, because time blindness is like not knowing how much time has passed. Also, not knowing how much time it takes to get things done. Writing this YouTube video, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be done at 8 o'clock, and it was 7:30. I was like, yeah, it's only gonna take me 30 minutes to write this script. And then it turned into 11 o'clock and the script still was not finished. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna record. It's only gonna take me like 30-40 minutes to record this video. We're about an hour into footage right now. Just like not knowing how time works. Okay, so we talked enough about the issues that I have. Oh wait, I didn't talk about regulation. So regulation, in addition to like emotional regulation and then like regulating your body, with ADHD, I think with both ADHD and autism, again, I'm not a professional. I have got my information from a lot of sources online. So if you are interested in learning stuff, you should check that out, or talk to your doctor or something. ADHD, and I feel like both ADHD and autism have issues with regulating emotions. So, and then with autism, I know we are prone to sensory overload and have sensory processing disorder most of the time. So I do have sensory processing disorder. I am most likely a sensory seeker. I am not really hypersensitive to things. I'm more hyposensitive, seeing as how I'm basically spinning in this chair right now and doing this. We're often prone to overstimulation or understimulation. I feel like understimulation is more so with ADHD because of the impulsiveness and like inattention. ADHD is basically a difficulty in regulating attention. Yeah, so I'm definitely prone to overstimulation and understimulation. It's important for me to figure out ways to combat that. Okay, so now we can get into the solutions that I have. With the scheduling and planning piece, make sure that you find your system. I have tried so many planning systems. I have tried bullet journaling, I've tried happy planners, I've tried passion planners, I've tried all of the planners, I have tried different systems, time batching, time blocking, all of the things. And honestly, you just kind of gotta try them all and figure out what is going to work for you. Right now I'm using Notion and then also Pomodoro. So far this year, it's working well. I still got some things I need to tweak because I still feel like I'm over committing myself and like overwhelming myself with a lot of things. And then the next one I have is Pomodoro sprints, like we do writing sprints. I will often set a timer for cleaning because I don't like cleaning, so I will not do it. If I set a timer for cleaning, I'm gonna set it for 20 minutes and then I'm gonna clean for 20 minutes. Oftentimes, I still want to continue on after because I get focused on doing that. So then your house will be cleaned. So if you're not wanting to do something, set a timer. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 1 minute, it can be however many minutes you want it to be. However long you think you can focus for, go ahead and set that timer, and then when it's done, you get to decide what you want to do. The next one I have is checklists, because there's something satisfying about checking a box and it cannot be denied. The next one I have is starting with the smallest possible task first in the morning and then building up your momentum. So often it is said in the self-help spaces, I think, to eat the frog, to do the big thing first so you can feel accomplished. But the big thing is a big thing. So no, I say, and I think other people have said, I listen to a lot of people, other people have said as well, that you should probably start with the smallest task first to build up your momentum, and so that you can continue and not be drained first thing in the morning because you spend all of your energy on this huge task. So I say you should try that. And this is a bonus little tip about finishing projects. I got this from Barrett Laurie, we were doing a workshop with myself and him and Tiffany about our books, and he said that for project ideas, like book ideas you have, so you have a new shiny idea coming at you and you kind of want to write it, he said that he will write it as a flash fiction, and then just to get the story out of his head and to like have like a full complete story done. And then once he does that, the itch is scratched, you know, there's a story of that idea written down. So I am going to try that. I have not tried it, but I think that would be fun. And then later you can go back and you can flesh out, you have something to flesh out if you want to take it into a short story or a novella or a novel. So I think that's interesting, and I think I will be trying that. The next thing I want to talk about is interoception. So if you're not autistic, well, I mean, everybody has interoception, but no one probably knows what it is. But interoception is the natural sense in your body that tells you when to eat, when to drink, when to pee, when to poop, stuff like that. It tells you when your body needs to do things. And often, autistic people have I don't want to say like impaired, maybe, sense of that sense of interoception. I did not notice this until I was researching autism. I don't pee as often as you're supposed to pee. Is that too much information? I don't know. I don't drink water as often as you're supposed to drink water. I don't eat as often as you're supposed to eat. Is it because I'm not hungry? Or is it because my body didn't tell me that I was hungry until I was starving? I don't know. That being said, I often forget things like that. My tips for that include, if you are a same foods person, so autistic people usually like routine and stuff like that, right? So if you're a same foods person and you like to eat the same stuff, make sure you have your same foods, your safe foods on stock in your home at all times. In addition to that, make sure you set a timer for things like go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, stand up, eat, because that will be beneficial to you. And in addition to the timers, pick an alarm or a system that you're not going to ignore, because oftentimes I ignore my alarms. And then for water, I just bought this. My sister thought that this was pee. It's just a yellow bottle. Yellow, white to blue, okay? This is just the bottle. But yeah, it has the times for you to drink stuff. Technically I am late because I didn't fill up the whole bottle. So I haven't drinking any water today. And it's like noon. But yeah, get a big bottle of water like that with the times on it and keep it next to your desk. And then my tips for regulation problems. But one thing I did want to talk about is that since we are more prone to being overstimulated, don't neglect to speak up for yourself. If you are, jumping into the author tube trenches of connecting with people and doing collabs and stuff, don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed by that. Don't allow yourself to stay in a space where you are not okay, where you have to mask. And I say this to myself because I feel like a lot of times in different live stream situations or collabs, I have been masking, and I've been trying to be conscious of that and not do it because it's exhausting. It's unnecessary because I should just be okay with being myself. Masking, I feel like it's a recipe for overstimulation because everything is going to become too much. The lights are going to be too much. The sound of people's voices are going to be too much. It's going to be too much, and I'm not going to be able to come down quickly. And that's all I really wanted to say. Like, speak up for yourself. Be sure to regulate yourself. Whether you need to stim during a video or stim during a live stream, whatever you gotta do, I feel like you should do what you need to do to stay healthy and to stay regulated. And then for the understimulation, I suggest the productive procrastination bit. And then also just rest and relaxation, which I have struggled with for my entire life, is not being able to rest and relax because I feel like I need to be doing something. So just noticing the things that are important to you, having the freedom to do those. So I talked a whole lot in this video. I have a lot of footage to cut, and I'm very not looking forward to it. But I hope that this video was some kind of informative, educational. I feel like it was all over the place. Again, I'm not an autism ADHD advocate. I do not have all of this impressive knowledge. All I know is what I know and what I researched. I hope that I didn't say anything that was wrong in this video, and I hope that it wasn't too disorganized that you couldn't follow it. That is all I have for you all today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below and let me know of any tips or anything you have or any thoughts you have on this video at all. This Friday will be the video for writers who want to include neurodivergent characters. That one will be more normal, I guess, of me not being all over the place. But I needed to get this done, and this is the state I am in. So I felt like this is a good state to film this video in. That is all I have for you all today. Again, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you on Friday with the next part of this video. Bye!